Yeah, hello everybody. Hi, we are with Tasmin today, the environment project manager of the Starboard company. So first of all, thank you very much for having you. We are very happy for that. Hello. May you perhaps explain what are you doing and introduce yourself? What are you doing inside the company, please?
Of course. Yeah, thank you for inviting me to talk with you today. It's a great pleasure, a great opportunity as well. You guys are doing some awesome stuff, so it's good to share with you as well. So that's really great. But yeah, so as you said, I'm Tasmin, the environmental projects manager for Starboard. I work on many different areas and projects at Starboard. We try and do everything we possibly can with every touch point that we work with. So the main projects we have, you'll probably notice with our boards, is that for every board that we sell, we plant a mangrove to absorb its emissions. And then we also collect 1.1 kilograms of plastic from the shorelines in Thailand. This is all done internally, so we tax our own profits and give that to the teams who are collecting the waste and also to the mangrove park to do this environmental action. But we also have loads of different things that we do. So we work at our headquarters, we try and reduce our impact through CO2 reductions, using solar panels, also recycling anything that we possibly can as well. So we work on that, but also our eco-innovation. So our boards are primarily made out of plastic, or we also use a lot of resins with different chemicals in it, but we try our best to try and test materials that are natural. So it could be the wood, the balsa wood that you see in a lot of our boards and our paddles as well. Or it could be the fishing nets that you see that are made into our fins as well. So we try and use all different things to make our products to limit the use and our reliance on virgin plastic materials. We still have such a long way to go though, but we do a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of finding out. Everything changes every day. So we're just trying to keep up to date as well.
Yeah, great. So you already said that the headquarters of the Starboard company is in Thailand, actually. And where exactly is it?
So it's just outside of Bangkok.
All right.
We're about half an hour from the airport and about half an hour from the city. We do all our testing further down in Pattaya, which is about an hour or two drive away. So that's where we test all our boards, spend the weekend there. And that's where a lot of our plastic cleanups are as well.
Great. Since when are you working for Starboard, and how did you get there, and why?
Good question. So I've been with them for about 2 years now, which has gone so quickly. It just feels really weird, but it feels like a part of life now. We just do it like every day. It's like Starboard is my job, which is great. But it's such a long connection, when you start seeing things all connected. So it's one of those things. Years ago, I used to work in London doing marketing, and there was a point where I was like, I need to do something about my actions to the environment and help other people understand as well. Because I think I went surfing for a weekend with some friends down in the country, and I was like, okay, I want to do something. So I went to a talk by Emily Penn, who was awesome, really shared everything she learned, and I was like, I want to do exactly the same. So contacted the whale company. So Carolyn and Carlos at the whale company were awesome. They let me do all their volunteering for them. So I supported them on their expedition from basically the far west of England, following the river all the way to London.
Wow.
So they did educational talks for the schools, but whilst they were doing this, they were paddling on plastic bottle boards. So boards made out of plastic bottles. Because it's really eye-catching. Everyone was like, what are they doing? This is so cool. So I was working with them to help them with different logistics things, all different types of volunteer stuff, and also they were teaching me everything they were learning as well, which is great. We stayed in contact, and I was traveling around at the time. We just finished a trip to Tonga doing microplastic research for a couple of weeks. And then she messaged me, she's like, there's a job going in Starboard, it really would suit you. There's so many environmental projects. And I got super excited, put in the last 2 weeks of my traveling into writing an application for Starboard, and finally had the interview and got the job. So, and then that's led to where we are today. So I basically have Carolyn and Carlos to thank for being where I am now.
the perfect job for you, actually. If I got you right, you have been interested in surfing and the environmental topic as well before, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think like where I grew up, I can see the sea right now from my window. I think it's such a deep connection, and that's why I want to do so much for the environment. Like I think all of us, we're all connected to it. Like we need it to support us, the know. But if we can't support it back, then eventually we're going to die. So we have to do everything we can.
That's true.
Yeah.
And since when is Starboard involved in this whole topic of sustainability and the projects in the environment?
Yeah, so I'd say on the scale, so Starboard started as a company in 1994.
All right.
When it comes to environmental efforts, we started in about 2016. We hired our first ever eco intern who ran cleanups at the headquarters, doing little bits of eco things, and then it scaled up really quickly. So we then supported the Sup World Champs in Fiji to become carbon positive, and by planting mangroves, and that's how like the mangrove story kind of begun. Then following from that, like a couple of years later, we got our first ever certification for our boards to become eco level by Sustainable Surf. And so this is because we were using eco resins and things like this. Then following that, that's when we installed the solar panels on our headquarters, which reduced our emissions, our electricity usage by 50%. So 50% of that was used from the sun, which is great.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
And why is that is so important for the company?
So because what we do every year is we measure our carbon footprint, and obviously carbon is one of the contributors to the greenhouse gases. It's not the major one. The major one is like methane, but it's still a huge contributor. And this is something we can directly reduce in our company. Like we've seen, I was literally looking for it this morning, our electricity reduction. It's the easiest way to reduce our carbon footprint. We have to, if you look at the Paris Agreement, they're saying right now, we're on target for the planet to warm by 3 degrees or 3.5 degrees. We can't live in a planet like that.
Yeah.
So we're doing our own reduction, but we're also trying to work with scientific-based targets. That's coming up anyway. But it's important for us because we are such a big company, we are making an impact to the planet, but we can reduce that impact through doing things like installing solar or using different materials and stuff. We have to do everything we can as a global company or as any size company to reduce our impact.
Yeah, that's our goal as well, that everybody can do a little effort in the daily life. So yeah, that's a common goal. And we read that Svein Rasmussen is the founder and the chief innovator, I would say. And how important is the topic for him? Was it he that promoted the whole thing, or?
Oh, of course, yeah. We're super lucky that our company is run by someone who holds environmental action so close to his heart. Like, I do think in so many other companies we wouldn't get the support we do, like new ideas or the actual just being able to do anything we want to reduce our impacts or speak about different things, like why don't we do this, why don't we do this? Like, he's so open to this and he comes with us with ideas all the time on how to be better. It's definitely something that comes from him. Like, he's the one in the company who's like, we need an environmental team, so we're going to have an environmental team, we're going to do this. So yeah, I think that's why we've been pushed so like far in environmental, is because of Sven.
Yeah, perfect. And so you're based in Bangkok or Thailand normally, outside of the coronavirus pandemic. What's the situation over there? Can you explain us how they deal with the whole topic of the sustainability and environment?
So from my experience in Thailand, if you ever want to experience any negative environmental impact and really want to get shocked by it, Thailand is the place to go. You'll see really bad air pollution. I've been affected by it. Like, sometimes you can't see that far in front of you, your chest hurts, your head hurts. Plastic pollution is everywhere you go. Deforestation, they've lost nearly all their mangroves on the shoreline. We've also got water pollution. We've been paddleboarding along the river where we've seen blue chemical come out and dead fish next to it.
Wow.
There's not enough that's being done in Thailand at all. Like we do our efforts, we do cleanups. We're working with WIF to plant more mangroves. We meet with the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce, or we did once a month when I was there, to get people to do more action. But there's not enough action happening right now that's going to make an impact. Like it's really hard to deal with when you're there, when you see there's so much devastation everywhere, but you want to do everything you can, but you can't. But you need everybody to be working together. There are some really, really great foundations, really, really great organizations who are doing awesome things. But we need like the big businesses, the big dogs, like to do more things.
Yeah, sure, that's true. And you already talked a little bit about the specific measures you have inside the headquarters at your office desk, I would say. So what is it right now?
Yeah, we have so many different things. So I've explained about the solar, but we've got where do I start? So we've got the weekly cleanups that my colleague Tip, she's out there manning the environmental team on her own at the moment. So every week she's organising weekly cleanups with Trash Hero Bangkok. So that's the foundation that we started in
Bangkok. That's a lot then, every week.
It's great. So we've got our employees joining in, we've got local people in the community joining in. Which is hopefully making a difference. Like we say that by action, you're going to educate yourself more. So even if people on the street see us, like they often cheer us on, but quite a lot of the time the locals don't really get involved, but they see it and they understand what's happening. So we hope that's like something that's going to help them reduce their waste maybe. But then we have loads of different recycling schemes. So we've got our precious plastic machine made by Sea Monkeys. What we do here is we bring all the bottle tops that we either collect from restaurants or we find on beach cleans, and we shred them down, melt them down, use them for medals for our sporting events, which are really, really cool. You can see them on the website. But then Tip also manages the recycling of Tetra Packs, the multi-layered cardboard plastic packaging. So we use them a lot in Thailand for like coconut milks and soy milks, oat milks, etc. They're really hard to recycle normally, but we give them to the Red Cross, so we're able to turn them into roof tiles for the roofs of houses, which is super, super cool. But we also recycle all sorts of things like receipts and calendars to make notebooks and writing pads for different charities and hospitals and things. So Tip's working on those all the time. We've also got a food reduction method within the office, like food waste reduction. So every day we have vegetarian meals at the office supplied by, which is great. So we're reducing our meat content by not having it at all. And then we're also getting people to only take what they're going to eat. So then this reduces food waste. People can then use whatever's left in the buffet pots. Because what we also then do with any of the food waste, we take it to be composted instead of it going to landfill to contribute to the methane emissions of greenhouse gases. So Tip's working hard on those all the time. She's always searching for new things to recycle. I'm pretty sure there's more of them, but we just, again, we try and do everything we possibly can there too.
Yeah, amazing. Everybody's involved then inside the company. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So this video will be on our social media channels. So perhaps our viewers can see that you have something written there on your shirt. Yeah. What is it? Can you explain what it means?
Yeah, of course. So good spot there on my jumper. So Somewhere is a new clothing brand that Starboard have started. As you know, we've got our plastic offset program and our mangrove planting. Somewhere is basically a movement to get people might not necessarily be able to go out there and do action, but what people are doing is they're purchasing things still. So we want to give them the opportunity to generate action if they're going to purchase something. So for example, this this jumper will collect 1.1 kilograms of plastic waste from the shorelines for the offset program, and we'll plant mangroves to absorb the emissions of this 10 times over. So basically it gives anybody and everybody who wants to purchase something the opportunity to generate action. to help the planet restore itself. Basically, we need to all work together, and we know that like anything we purchase is going to result in like an effect somehow. So basically, if you purchase something in a store that might not be so environmentally friendly, you might have no environmental like positive repercussions. But if you buy something from somewhere, we'll be doing something good with your money, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. And on the webpage, I think we can all find different projects you have.
Yeah.
So we find, for example, the plastic offset program. What does that mean?
So that's the 1.1 kilograms we remove from the shorelines per every board.
Right.
Yeah. So we've got a team actually made up of. It started as a group of friends in Thailand who work at Sven's house. And they were going out on the beach every day to collect this waste before sessions of like windsurf sessions or sup sessions. By the time they came back, there's so much more waste on the beach, and then everyone's getting really frustrated. They're like, this is so annoying. Like, we're spending all our time doing this. But they were like, the only way that would really make them continuously do this is if they got paid. Then we were like, okay, we'll tax ourselves and then pay you that tax. So we pay them per every kilogram they remove from the shoreline. That team's growing bigger and bigger every year. We're collecting more and more every year. So far, we've collected 138,000 kilograms of waste, which is a huge amount. And then every year, this total's going up and up and up. And we try and recycle as much as possible, but so much of it's contaminated waste. So again, we need that plastic waste like to be stopped at the source, because people are still going to buy it if it's still going to be on the shelves, but we need people to stop buying it, really. So that's what we do with plastic offset program. And the 1.1 kilograms, going back to why we use that number, is because if we look at the number that we're given for the amount of plastic reaching the oceans every year, and we divide that by the amount of people on the planet, we're left with 1.1 kilogram per person. That's how much that's how much each of us are accountable for reaching the oceans every year if we were to divide it by those numbers. So it's just that kind of, if we connect that number to a board, then it just makes people think a bit like, oh, that's how much waste, plastic waste I'm doing on average. Like, some people emit a lot less, some people emit a lot more, but if we were to do that, that's how the number would be. Yes.
Yeah, that gives the opportunity to all the European and especially German customers to have fun with your boards and to do something good in Thailand as well.
Exactly. No, you're so right.
Okay, what other specific programs do you have then?
Yeah, so we've got the mangrove project and the carbon footprinting. So if we look at a board's emissions, when we do the life cycle assessment, we calculate carbon emissions as well as the plastic footprint. So because we calculate it, we know exactly how much we're emitting, how much we need to reduce if we want to be better. If we took an average of all the emissions that all the boards would produce, we're left with about 100 grams of CO2 emitted per board.
All right.
100 kilograms, sorry. So what we need to do then is, it's 100 grams. What we need to do then is plant a mangrove to absorb these emissions. But planting mangrove, within 20 years, the emissions of that mangrove will be absorbed 10 times over. So mangrove absorbs 1 ton of CO2 within 20 years, which is 1,000 kilograms. So absorbing that 100 kilograms 10 times over. So we do that for every board, every standard board of starboards, but we've got our Olympic equipment, the IQ foil, where we plant 10 trees. So that's absorbing those emissions 10 times over. But the mangrove is so important. Across the world, about 80% of the mangroves have been cut down for like salt farming or shrimp farming or charcoal burning or anything like this. But they are really good for protecting the shorelines from flooding or big winds, big storms, or rising sea levels. They protect it a lot. And they're also really, really good home for like all sorts of biodiversity. So we've got insects they protect, and they're a nice home for them. They're a really good breeding ground for small fish, really good home for fish. Lots of different wildlife is coming back, such as elephants and monkeys, which is so cool. And then also it's protecting the whole like ecosystem around it. So you're seeing seagrass come back as well, which means the sea cows are coming back. Like everything that we basically need to support all the life on the planet resolves in the mangroves. They're such a good CO2 absorber as well. So compared to like other trees, they absorb 5 times the amount of CO2, and they store it really, really deep in the ground for their complex root system. So like once that carbon's captured, it's sunk right down in there, so it can't come back up.
All right, it affects the whole circle then.
Yeah, exactly. We need the mangrove, so we need to plant as many as possible.
Perfect. All right, cool. What are your plans for the future? What are you still gonna to change for us?
Yeah, so right now, we're focusing on working with our social compliance. So we know that it's super important to work with helping the environment and everything. So we've got that. We're still developing that. Like nothing's gonna be loosened off that bit at all. We're also focusing on the social aspects of our supply chain. So anyone and everyone who is like working at the factories we work with, we're going to be making sure that every factory is working to the highest standards, looking after all their employees, making sure everyone's paid a living wage instead of the minimum wage, basically making sure that everyone's in a safe and happy working environment across everything. So we're doing a lot of assessments for this at the moment and working to get this up and running, but we'll share more information with you guys when that happens. And then, as I said, we're hopefully working along scientific-based reduction targets in terms of CO2, but we're working on that anyway, but we want to do a way where, get a way where we are showing that we are definitely doing that, like with a certification. So we're trying that too. But there's like, we got something coming up soon. Earth Day is just around the corner on the 22nd of April.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a big day where like we should be doing environmental action every day, but this is like the day or the week where all of us can work together and do something.
The key day.
Exactly that. So we're hoping to do cleanups and get so like you can do it on your own, you can do it with your family member or whoever you live with, depending on your restrictions in your home country.
Exactly our topic.
Oh, is it? Yay, awesome. So so we're doing cleanups, and then hopefully we'll get you guys to take part in a brand audit. So this is when you gather all of your cleanup waste and you see what brand is on there. You write it down in your audit. What then happens is we send that to Break Free from Plastic, who then lobby that brand. So it might be Coca-Cola, it might be Pepsi-Cola, whichever. They've been the top 2 in the last 3 years. And then they basically ask them to take responsibility and share how much plastic they're emitting, which Coca-Cola actually did, and then ask them, like with heavy pressure, to redesign what they're doing and aim to be working towards reusable items and refillable items. So that's the plan. We'll be releasing a news article on that in a couple of days. So it'd be great if we can give that to you and share it about and get everybody involved.
Cool, yeah, we're looking forward to that. All right, so yeah, a lot of questions. Do you have something else to tell us, or yeah, what else would you like to share with us first?
I think that I think everybody should just continue to be doing everything they possibly can be. I think we focus so much on plastics and carbon and everything, but something we're going to be moving into is the focus of nature and what we need to do to support it. So there are little things we can do at home if we just research like the native pollinated flowers, for example, that we could be planting to support these insects that we actually need to pollinate all the plants to help us get food, etc. So I think little things like that are so important. They're super easy to do, and also it makes your garden look really nice. So
True, yeah.
Yeah.
If the summer's coming, will be better everywhere, even in Germany.
Oh, exactly.
Because at the moment it's snowing outside when I look at my window.
Is it really? That's cool.
All right, Tasmin, thank you very much for having you. And I invite all our viewers at home to explore your website to find out even more on the whole topic and the Starboard company. Yeah, we will stay in touch, I hope. And thank you. Thank you for answering all the questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for having me today.
See you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
Bye. Bye.